The phone's shrill ring shattered Emma Harris's dreamless sleep at exactly 5:07 a.m. She fumbled for it in the darkness, knocking over a water glass, her heart already racing with the particular panic reserved for middle-of-the-night phone calls. Mom in the hospital. Tyler's school. Her mind cycled through disasters as she finally grabbed the device. The caller ID read, Jake Trainer. Emma's panic shifted to confusion. Jake. Her online personal trainer. The man she'd been doing virtual workout sessions with for 3 months. The one with the gravelly voice and those intense gray eyes that made her forget how much she hated burpees. The one she'd never actually met in person. Why was he calling at 5 a.m. on a Sunday? She answered. Jake? What? Emma. His voice was urgent, clipped, nothing like his usual encouraging trainer tone. I need you to stay very calm. Don't turn on any lights. Don't look out your windows. Just get up slowly and open your front door. Ice flooded her veins. What? Jake, what are you? I'm outside your house right now. A pause, heavy with something that sounded like dread. And I'm not the only one watching you. Emma's breath stopped. Through the phone, she heard rustling, footsteps, the distant sound of a car engine. Real sounds. Outside sounds. Someone's been monitoring you through your webcam, Jake continued, his voice low and controlled. Not just during our sessions. All the time. And Emma, his voice dropped even lower. Last night at 2:47 a.m., I intercepted a message on the dark web. Someone put out a contract. They're coming for you today. Emma sat frozen in her bed, phone pressed to her ear, every horror movie she'd ever seen suddenly playing in her mind. Her laptop sat on her dresser, camera facing her bed. Her tablet was on the nightstand. The nanny cam in Tyler's room. All those eyes. All those screens. Watching. How do I know you're really Jake? She whispered. How do I know this isn't? 3 weeks ago, you told me about the scar on your shoulder from when you fell off your bike at age 12. 2 weeks ago, you cried during cool-down stretches because you'd just signed your divorce papers. Last session, Tyler ran in wearing his Spider-Man costume and asked if muscles would help him climb walls. Jake's voice softened slightly. Emma, I know this is terrifying. But I need you to trust me. I'm the good guy. And right now, I'm the only thing between you and whoever's coming. Emma's hand shook. Those details were real. Private. Things she'd shared during their early morning sessions when she felt safe, talking to a screen, confessing to a stranger who somehow felt less judgmental than her friends. Why are you here? She asked. Why didn't you just call the police? Because whoever's watching you has been spoofing police communications. They'd intercept the call. And because, he hesitated. Because I used to be FBI. Cybercrime Division. And I've been tracking this stalker network for 2 years. Emma, you're not their first target. But if I have anything to say about it, you'll be their last. The weight of his words settled over her like a shroud. My son, she breathed. Tyler is sleeping in his room. I know. That's why I'm here. We need to secure your house, sweep for devices, and get you both somewhere safe. But first, you need to let me in. A pause. Please, Emma. Trust me. She sat in the darkness, paralyzed by competing terrors. Trust a man she'd never met? Or stay here, vulnerable, with her 7-year-old son asleep down the hall and God knows who watching through God knows how many cameras? Not really a choice at all. Okay, she whispered. I'm coming. If this story grabbed you by the throat and won't let go, smash that subscribe button. We're diving deep into 60 minutes of suspense, romance, and a single mom who's about to discover her online trainer is way more than he seems. Drop a like if you're already rooting for Emma and Jake, and comment below, Team Jake if you trust him, or call 911 if you think she's making a huge mistake. Now let's find out what happens when she opens that door. Emma moved through her house like a ghost. Bare feet on cold hardwood. Oversized sleep shirt barely covering her thighs. Hair a tangled mess from restless sleep. This was not how she'd imagined meeting Jake for the first time. She'd fantasized about it, of course. 3 months of early morning workout sessions had given her plenty of time to imagine. In those fantasies, she was fit, put together, wearing actual clothes. Maybe they'd meet at a coffee shop. Maybe she'd be funny and charming. Maybe he'd look at her the way men used to look at her before the marriage fell apart and motherhood consumed her identity. Not like this. Never like this. The front door loomed ahead. Emma's hand hovered over the deadbolt. What if this was a mistake? What if Jake was the threat? But then she remembered his voice during their sessions. Patient when she struggled. Encouraging when she wanted to quit. Genuine when she opened up about her divorce, her loneliness, her fear that she'd never feel strong again. That voice had gotten her through 3 months of rebuilding herself. She opened the door. Jake stood on her porch in the pre-dawn darkness, and Emma's brain short-circuited. The webcam hadn't done him justice. He was tall, maybe 6 feet 2 inches, with broad shoulders that spoke of serious gym time. Dark hair, slightly too long, falling into those gray eyes she'd memorized through a screen. Sharp jawline covered with 2 days of stubble. Wearing black tactical pants, a fitted dark Henley, and her expression that managed to be both apologetic and intensely alert. He looked like he'd walked off a movie set, or out of her most private fantasies. "Emma," he said, and his voice was exactly the same as through the phone, through the webcam, but somehow more richer. Real. "Can I come in?" She stepped back, suddenly hyper-aware that she was wearing a thin sleep shirt and nothing else. Her hair was a disaster, and she probably had pillow creases on her face. Jake entered quickly, closing and locking the door behind him. His eyes swept the room with professional efficiency. Windows, corners, shadows, exits. Not looking at her. Entirely focused on threat assessment. Which should have been reassuring, but somehow made Emma feel even more exposed. "Where's Tyler's room?" he asked. "Upstairs. Second door on the left. But he's asleep, I don't want to. I need to check his room for surveillance devices." Jake was already moving toward the stairs, pulling a small device from his pocket. "Stay down here. Don't turn on any lights. Don't go near any windows." He took the stairs 2 at a time, leaving Emma standing in her living room, adrenaline and confusion warring in her bloodstream. This was insane. She'd let a stranger into her house. A stranger who claimed to be ex-FBI, claimed someone was watching her, claimed to be here to protect her. She had no proof of any of it. She should call 911. Should grab Tyler and run. Should. Her laptop on the coffee table suddenly lit up. Emma jumped back, heart slamming against her ribs. She hadn't touched it, hadn't opened it, but the screen glowed with that eerie blue light, and text began appearing. "Hello, Emma. Did you really think inviting him inside would save you? I've been watching you for months. Every morning, every workout, every vulnerable moment. Asterisk asterisk. You're mine." Emma's scream died in her throat as Jake's hand clamped over her mouth from behind. "Don't," he whispered directly into her ear, his body pressed against her back, solid and warm and terrifying. "He's listening. He wants a reaction. Don't give it to him." Emma nodded frantically, and Jake slowly removed his hand. She turned to face him, and in the glow of the laptop screen, she saw something dangerous in his eyes. "He's in your system," Jake said quietly, moving toward the laptop. "Has been for weeks, probably. Smart home hub, security cameras, every device connected to your Wi-Fi." He pulled out his phone, tapped something. "I'm jamming his signal now, but it'll only last a few minutes before he reroutes." More text appeared on the screen. "You can't hide from me, Emma. I know everything about you. Your son's school. Your mother's address. Your ex-husband's testimony. Asterisk asterisk. Did you really think you'd be safe?" Emma's blood froze. "What does he mean, my ex-husband's testimony?"
So sorry.
Jake met her eyes, and she saw the answer before he spoke. "Your ex-husband is Marcus Harris, defense contractor who testified against Apex Defense Solutions for illegal weapons sales to restricted countries. His testimony sent 3 executives to prison and cost the company $300 million. Jake's voice was gentle but firm. "Emma, you're not the primary target. You're leverage. They're using you to get to him. But Marcus and I are divorced. We barely speak except about Tyler. They don't care. They know he still cares about you. About Tyler. Jake glanced at the laptop screen where new text was appearing. They're going to use you to force him to recant his testimony. Smart boy, your trainer. Former Special Agent Jacob Morrison. Left the FBI after his partner died. Guilt is a powerful motivator, isn't it, Jake? Jake's jaw clenched. Emma saw pain flash across his face, quickly suppressed. How does he know who you are? Emma asked. Because I've been hunting him for 2 years. He killed my partner. Jake's voice was flat, emotionless, but his hands were shaking slightly. Sarah Chun. Best analyst the Bureau ever had. She tracked a cyberstalking ring that was targeting women for human trafficking. Got too close. They made it look like suicide. Sarah screamed for 3 hours before we finished her. Want to hear the recording? Jake moved so fast Emma barely saw it. He grabbed the laptop, ripped it away from the power cord, slammed it shut, and threw it across the room where it shattered against the wall. Silence. Broken only by their ragged breathing. I'm sorry, Jake said after a moment, running his hand through his hair. I shouldn't have. That wasn't professional. Professional? Emma's voice came out higher than intended. Jake, nothing about this is professional. There's a psychopath in my computer talking about killing your partner, threatening my son, and I'm standing in my living room in my underwear having the worst morning of my entire life. Despite everything, the terror, the absurdity, the sheer insanity, Jake's lips twitched. For what it's worth, you look good in your underwear. Emma stared at him. Did you seriously just... Inappropriate. I know. Bad timing. But he was almost smiling now, and somehow that small crack in his intensity made everything slightly less terrifying. But I've been watching you work out for 3 months, Emma. Trust me when I say I've noticed. Heat flooded her face. You're terrible at pep talks. Yeah, Sarah used to say that too. The smile faded. She also used to say I had a savior complex and would get myself killed trying to rescue people I couldn't save. Is that what this is? You trying to save me to make up for not saving her? Jake looked at her for a long moment. Really looked at her. Not the professional threat assessment look, but something deeper. More personal. Maybe at first, he admitted. 3 weeks ago, I noticed the same digital signature on your network that was on Sarah's before she died. Same encryption patterns. Same routing protocols. I knew it was him. The same person or organization. And yeah, maybe I saw a chance for redemption. But then I actually got to know you. Through our sessions. Through our talks. And somewhere between your terrible form on deadlifts and your rants about your ex-husband's new girlfriend, you stopped being a case. His grey eyes held hers. You became someone I actually gave a damn about. Emma's heart did something complicated in her chest. A sound from upstairs shattered the moment. Mommy. Tyler. Emma bolted for the stairs, Jake right behind her. They found her 7-year-old standing in the hallway, clutching his stuffed dinosaur, eyes wide and frightened. I heard a crash, Tyler said, looking between Emma and the stranger beside her. Who's that? Why are you awake? Emma knelt down, pulling her son into her arms. Hey baby. It's okay. This is Jake. Remember my trainer I told you about? He came to help us with something. Tyler studied Jake with the suspicious intensity only children possess. The muscle guy? That's me, Jake said, kneeling down to Tyler's level. Your mom's told me a lot about you. You like dinosaurs. Tyler hugged his stuffed T-Rex tighter. Yeah. Mommy says they're all dead, but I think some might still be alive somewhere. Maybe in really deep caves, Jake said seriously. Or underwater. You never know. Tyler's suspicion softened slightly. Are you really a muscle guy? Can you lift my mom? Tyler. Emma's face burned. But Jake was grinning now, genuine and warm. Probably. Your mom's strong, but I think I could manage. Prove it. We are not doing this right now, Emma started, but Jake had already stood and, in one smooth motion, scooped her up like she weighed nothing. One arm under her knees, the other supporting her back, holding her against his chest with ridiculous ease. Tyler's eyes went wide. Whoa. Whoa is right, Jake said, looking down at Emma with an expression that made her stomach flip. Your mom's been working hard. She's stronger than she thinks. Emma was acutely aware of several things simultaneously. Jake's arms were extremely solid, he smelled like soap and something cedarish, she was still barely dressed, and her 7-year-old was watching this entire interaction with the delighted expression of a kid witnessing something potentially embarrassing for his mother. Okay, you can put me down now, Emma said, trying for dignity and failing miserably. Jake set her down gently, but his hands lingered on her waist for just a second longer than necessary. Their eyes met, and Emma saw heat there that had nothing to do with the current crisis. Then Tyler's stomach growled, breaking the spell. I'm hungry, Tyler announced. Can we have pancakes? Buddy, it's not even 6 a.m., Emma started. I'm a growing dinosaur. Dinosaurs eat a lot. Jake laughed, the sound surprisingly light given the circumstances. Can't argue with dinosaur logic. But Tyler, I need to ask you something serious, okay? Tyler nodded. Have you noticed anything weird lately? People watching your house? Strange cars? Anyone at school asking questions about you or your mom? Tyler thought about it with the gravity of someone being asked a very important question. MS. Sarah has been asking about mommy a lot. Emma and Jake exchanged glances. MS. Sarah. Emma asked. Your teacher? Yeah. She keeps asking if mommy has a boyfriend, and if anyone comes to visit, and stuff like that. I told her no because you never have time for boyfriends because work is busy and you're always tired. He paused. Are you getting a boyfriend? Is it the muscle guy? Tyler, focus, Emma said, her mind racing. What else did MS? Sarah ask. If daddy still comes around. What car mommy drives. If we ever go on trips. Tyler shrugged. I thought she was just being nice. Jake's expression had gone cold and professional again. Emma, is Sarah a close friend? We've known each other for 3 years. Since Tyler started at Meadowbrook Elementary. She's his teacher but also, yeah, I guess we're friends. We get coffee sometimes, she's been to dinner here a few times. Emma felt sick. You think she's involved? I think someone's been feeding information about you to the people watching you. And teachers have access to school records, addresses, emergency contacts, custody arrangements. A sound downstairs made them all freeze. The front door opening. Jake moved instantly, pushing Emma and Tyler behind him, one hand reaching for something at his back. A gun, Emma realized with a spike of terror. He had a gun. Stay here, he whispered. Behind me. Quiet. They crept toward the stairs. Emma's heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst. Tyler clung to her leg, silent but trembling. Jake moved like a trained predator, each step calculated, weapon raised. They reached the top of the stairs. Looked down. A woman stood in Emma's living room. Mid-30s, dark hair, expensive coat, and a face Emma knew as well as her own. Sarah Mitchell. Tyler's teacher. Emma's friend. She looked up at them and smiled, but it was wrong. All wrong. The warmth that usually lit her features was gone, replaced by something cold and calculating. Hello, Emma, Sarah said pleasantly, like they'd run into each other at the grocery store. I see you've met Jake. Isn't he handsome in person? Even better than on your webcam. Jake's gun stayed level, aimed at Sarah's chest. Step away from the door. Hands where I can see them. Oh, Jake. Always so dramatic. Sarah raised her hands slowly, but she wasn't frightened. You really should have stayed out of this. Emma isn't worth dying for. Trust me. MS. Sarah. Tyler's small voice was confused, hurt. Why are you in our house? Something flickered across Sarah's face. Guilt? Regret? But it vanished quickly. I'm sorry, Tyler. I really did like having you in my class. You're a sweet kid. Did like. Emma's voice was shaking. Sarah, what the hell is going on? Why are you? Because my ex-boyfriend is holding my daughter hostage in Mexico, and the only way I get her back is by delivering you to some very angry arms dealers. Sarah's voice cracked slightly. Believe me, Emma, if there was any other way. There's always another way, Jake said. Come in with us. Testify. We can protect you and your daughter. Witness protection, new identities. You can't protect her from these people. They have reach everywhere. They found Sarah Chun when she was in an FBI safe house. They got to Marcus's previous assistant who tried to blow the whistle. They don't stop, they don't forgive, and they sure as hell don't let people testify against them. Tears were streaming down Sarah's face now. My daughter is 8 years old. The same age I was when my father went to prison and my mother killed herself. I will not let that happen to her. So you'll let it happen to mine? Emma descended the stairs slowly, deliberately, even as Jake tried to pull her back. Tyler is 7, Sarah. You know him. You teach him. You've been to his birthday parties. And you're going to hand us over to people who will, what? Kill us? Torture us to get to Marcus. They won't kill you. They need you alive for leverage. And once Marcus recants his testimony, they'll let you go. You actually believe that? Jake's voice was harsh. Sarah Chun believed her handlers would protect her too. Want to know how that worked out? Sarah flinched but held her ground. I don't have a choice. Yes, you do, Emma said, reaching the bottom of the stairs. She could see Sarah clearly now, the exhaustion in her eyes, the desperation, the grief. You're choosing your daughter over mine. I get it. I'd probably make the same choice. But don't pretend you don't have one. For a long moment, Sarah stood frozen. Emma could see the war playing out across her face. Then headlights swept across the front windows. Multiple vehicles. Moving fast. Sarah's face went pale. Oh God. They're early. I told them 6:30. I said I needed time. She looked at Emma with genuine panic. You need to run. Now. Back door. They'll kill Jake. They'll kill me. They only need you and Tyler alive. How many? Jake asked, already moving, grabbing Emma's arm. 4. Maybe 5. They're professionals. Ex-military. You can't. The front door exploded inward. Jake reacted on pure instinct. He fired twice, not at the door, but at the living room window, shattering it. Then he grabbed Emma, physically lifted her, and threw her toward the back of the house. Gio! He roared. Get Tyler and go. Emma ran. Not because she wanted to leave Jake, but because Tyler was still at the top of the stairs, frozen and terrified, and she had to get to him before the men coming through that door did. She hit the stairs at a dead sprint, heard gunfire behind her, heard Jake shouting something, heard Sarah screaming. She grabbed Tyler, who was crying now, and ran toward his bedroom. The window. She could get them out through Tyler's window onto the garage roof, then down to. An arm caught her around the waist, dragging her backward. Emma screamed, kicked, clawed. Tyler was ripped from her arms. She heard him crying, Mommy, Mommy, as someone carried him away. Then she was slammed against the wall, air knocked from her lungs, staring into the coldest eyes she'd ever seen. The man holding her was massive. Shaved head, neck tattoos, face that had seen violence and enjoyed it. Mrs. Harris, he said in a voice like gravel, you've been a difficult woman to acquire. Let my son go, Emma gasped. Please. He's just a child. Take me, but let him. Oh, we're taking you both. He smiled, and it was the smile of something that had forgotten how to be human. Your ex-husband needs proper motivation. A gunshot from downstairs. Then silence. Emma's heart stopped. Jake. Your boyfriend's dead. So's the teacher. Unfortunate but necessary. The man started dragging her toward the stairs. Come quietly, and your son doesn't have to see his mother bleed. Fight me, and I'll make him watch. Your choice. Emma went limp in his grip. Not from surrender, but from the thing Jake had taught her 3 weeks ago during self-defense training. Sometimes the best way to fight was to make your opponent think you'd already lost. She let the man half carry, half drag her down the stairs. Saw Tyler being held by another man near the shattered front door. Saw Sarah crumpled on the floor, blood pooling beneath her. Saw Jake alive. He was on the ground behind the couch, hidden from the men's view, bleeding from his shoulder, but his eyes were open and locked on hers. He raised one finger to his lips. Quiet. Then he held up 3 fingers. Counted down. 3, 2, 1. Everything happened at once. Jake surged up from behind the couch, firing at the man holding Tyler. The man dropped, and Tyler scrambled away. Emma went dead weight, dropping through her captor's arms, then drove her elbow back into his groin exactly like Jake had taught her. He doubled over, and she brought her knee up into his face with everything she had. More gunfire. The remaining men returned fire at Jake, who dove back behind cover. Emma grabbed a lamp from the side table, smashed it over her captor's head as he tried to rise, and ran for Tyler. She scooped him up, felt him wrap around her like a barnacle, and made for the back door just as the entire living room seemed to explode with sound and fury. Jake was fighting like something out of a movie. Not graceful, not choreographed, but brutal and efficient. He shot one man in the leg, tackled another, was using hand-to-hand combat that looked like it could kill. Emma burst through the back door into the pre-dawn light, Tyler crying in her arms, and ran. Across her yard. Through the neighbor's garden. She had no shoes, no phone, nothing but her son and the thin sleep shirt she'd answered the door in. She ran until she reached Mrs. Chen's house 3 doors down, the elderly widow who was always awake early, who kept her doors unlocked because what's an old lady got worth stealing? Emma pounded on the door, gasping Tyler's name over and over like a prayer. Mrs. Chen opened it in her bathrobe, took one look at Emma's face, and pulled them both inside. "I'm calling 911, she said, already moving to her phone. No. Emma grabbed her arm. They're monitoring police communications. They'll intercept. Then I'm calling my nephew. Detective with the state police. He doesn't go through regular dispatch." Mrs. Chen was already dialing. "Henry? It's Auntie. I need you here now. Bring everything." "Yes, everything. Emma Harris's house. Hurry." Emma sank to the floor, clutching Tyler, her entire body shaking. Through the window, she could see smoke rising from her house. Hear sirens in the distance. Her life was imploding, and somewhere in that chaos was Jake, who'd thrown himself between her and armed killers. Who might already be dead. Tyler was crying into her shoulder, repeating, "Mommy, I was scared, Mommy, I was so scared," and Emma held him and rocked him and whispered lies about how everything would be okay. Because what else could she do? Mrs. Chen brought them blankets, water, sat with them on the floor while they waited for her nephew. Through the window, police cars were arriving at Emma's house. Ambulances. A SWAT team. Emma's phone, abandoned somewhere in her house, wouldn't stop ringing. She could hear it through the chaos. Ringing and ringing. "He saved us," Tyler said suddenly, voice small and thick with tears. "The muscle guy. He was like a superhero." "Yeah, baby. He was." "Is he dead?" Emma couldn't answer that. Couldn't bear to answer that. A car screeched to a stop outside. Mrs. Chen's nephew, Detective Henry Park, burst through the door in jeans and a leather jacket, gun already drawn. "Everyone okay? Injuries? Talk to me." "We're okay," Emma managed. "But Jake, the man who was trying to help us, he's still in my house." "Or was. I don't know if." "I'll find out. Stay here. Don't leave. Don't answer the door for anyone but me." Henry was already on his radio, calling for backup, coordinating with the units on scene. Emma waited. Tyler fell asleep from exhaustion, head in her lap. Mrs. Chen made tea that Emma couldn't drink. The sun rose fully, turning the sky pink and gold, completely indifferent to the nightmare unfolding below. An hour passed. Then another. Finally, Detective Park returned. His expression was grim, and Emma's heart sank. 4 men dead at the scene, he said. 1 woman, identified as Sarah Mitchell, teacher at Meadowbrook Elementary, and 1 male mid-30s, multiple gunshot wounds. Is he alive? Emma's voice broke. Jake. Is he alive? Park's expression softened. He's alive. Barely. They're taking him to County General. Lost a lot of blood, but the paramedics think he'll make it. He paused. Emma, who is this guy? Because he just took down 4 armed professionals while severely wounded. That's not normal. He's FBI. Former FBI. He was protecting us. From what?
Where did he go?
So Emma told him everything. About Marcus's testimony. About the stalking. About Jake showing up at 5 a.m. About Sarah's betrayal. All of it. By the time she finished, Detective Park was on the phone with what sounded like federal agents, and Emma's quiet suburban street had transformed into a crime scene that would make national news. We need to get you and Tyler into protective custody, Park said. These people will try again. Your ex-husband's testimony is worth hundreds of millions to them. I need to see Jake, Emma said. I need to know he's in surgery. ICU after that. They're not letting anyone. I need to see him, Emma repeated, her voice steel. He saved my life. Saved my son's life. I need, her voice broke. Please. Park looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. I'll arrange an escort to the hospital. But Emma, you need to understand, this isn't over. Not by a long shot. I know. And this Jake guy, whoever he really is, he's in this as deep as you now. Emma looked at her sleeping son, thought about the man who'd thrown himself into gunfire for people he barely knew, and felt something fierce and protective bloom in her chest. Good, she said quietly, because I'm not letting him face it alone. County General Hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Emma sat in the ICU waiting room wearing borrowed clothes from Mrs. Chun, sweatpants 2 sizes too big and a floral blouse that belonged on a retirement cruise. Tyler was with Detective Park's wife in a secure room 2 floors down, finally sleeping properly with a child psychologist on standby. Emma hadn't slept. Couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Jake diving in front of bullets meant for her. Saw Sarah's body on her living room floor. Heard Tyler screaming for her. She'd been waiting 4 hours. Jake had been in surgery for 3. The federal agents had come and gone. Interviews, statements, promises of protection that felt hollow after everything that had happened. They'd informed her that Marcus was being transported to a secure location, that he'd be debriefing with them, that Emma and Tyler would be placed in witness protection until the trial. Witness protection. New names. New lives. Running from ghosts. Mrs. Harris. Emma looked up to find a surgeon in blood-stained scrubs standing before her. The man looked exhausted, but his eyes were kind. How is he? Emma stood, her legs shaky. Jake. Is he? He's alive. Stable. Very lucky. The surgeon pulled off his surgical cap. 2 gunshot wounds, 1 through the shoulder, 1 grazed his ribs. Significant blood loss, but no major organ damage. He'll recover fully with time and physical therapy. Relief hit Emma so hard she had to sit down. Can I see him? He's in recovery now. Should be moved to ICU in about an hour. Are you family?
Emma hesitated.
What was she? His client? His, what? I'm the reason he's here. The person he was protecting. The surgeon's expression shifted to something understanding. He was asking for you. First thing when he woke up. Is Emma safe? Is Tyler safe? Wouldn't let us sedate him until we confirmed. Emma's eyes burned. That sounds like him. ICU allows immediate family only, but given the circumstances. The surgeon glanced at the federal agents stationed by the door. I think we can make an exception. 1 visitor. 15 minutes. Thank you. An hour later, Emma was escorted through the ICU, a maze of beeping machines and hushed voices, to Jake's room. Through the window, she could see him propped slightly upright, chest wrapped in bandages, 4 lines running from both arms, monitors tracking every heartbeat. He looked smaller like this. Vulnerable. Human. She pushed open the door carefully, and his eyes opened immediately, those gray eyes that had watched her through a webcam for 3 months, that had looked at her with heat in her living room, that had stayed locked on hers while gunfire erupted around them. Emma. His voice was rough, scratchy. Tyler.
Everything is going to be
safe. Sleeping. Detective Park's wife is with him. Emma moved to his bedside, unsure whether to sit, to stand, to touch him. You saved us. You threw yourself in front of Jake. You almost died. Occupational hazard. He tried for a smile, but winced. How bad do I look? Like you went through a blender. Feels about right. His eyes searched her face. You okay? Did they hurt you? Touch you?
I'm fine.
Bruised. Terrified. But fine. Emma finally sat in the chair beside his bed. Jake, why didn't you tell me? That you were FBI. That you'd been tracking these people. That you. Would you have trusted me if I had? His voice was quiet. If at our first session I'd said, "Hi, I'm Jake, former federal agent hunting a cyberstalking ring, and by the way, I think you're being targeted." Probably not. So I became your trainer. Got to know you. Made sure you were safe while I built a case. He closed his eyes briefly, but somewhere in there, it stopped being just a case. Emma's heart did that complicated thing again. Jake, I know. Wrong time. You're dealing with trauma. Your life's imploding. Last thing you need is your trainer confessing feelings while hopped up on morphine. Is that what this is? Morphine talking. Jake's eyes opened, and the look he gave her was entirely clear. Entirely sober. No. This is me, Emma Harris, telling you that somewhere between your terrible workout form and your rants about your ex-husband, I fell for you. Hard. And I know it's insane and terrible timing, and possibly the morphine making me brave enough to say it, but... Emma kissed him. Carefully, mindful of his injuries, she leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. It was soft. Gentle. Nothing like their first kiss would be in a normal relationship. But nothing about this was normal. When she pulled back, Jake was staring at her with wonder. I'm probably going to regret that, Emma said. You're my trainer. You're injured. We're in an ICU. There are federal agents outside. This is the worst possible. Emma. Jake's hand found hers, squeezed weakly. Shut up and kiss me again. So she did. This time with more feeling, more promise, more of the desperate relief that they were both alive when they could have been dead. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb stroking her cheek, and Emma felt something inside her chest crack open. Some wall she'd built after Marcus left, after the divorce, after she'd convinced herself she wasn't worth loving. When they broke apart this time, both were breathing hard. So, Jake said with a slight smile, does this mean I'm still your trainer? Jake, I don't even have a house anymore. My life is in witness protection limbo. I'm pretty sure workout sessions are not a priority. But when things calm down, if things calm down, they will, Jake said firmly. We'll make sure they do. And when they do, I'm still going to make you do burpees at 6 a.m. Emma laughed, the sound slightly hysterical. You're insane. Probably. But I'm your brand of insane. His thumb was still stroking her cheek. Emma, I know this is fast. I know it's crazy. But I'm not going anywhere. When you go into protective custody, I'm coming with you. As security. As whatever they'll allow. I'm not letting you face this alone. Jake, you can barely move. I'll heal. And until I do, I'll coordinate from whatever safe house they put you in. I've got contacts. Resources. I'm not leaving you vulnerable. That's not your job anymore. It stopped being a job weeks ago. The heart monitor beside his bed was beeping faster, betraying his elevated heart rate. Emma realized she needed to leave, to let him rest, to stop complicating both their lives with feelings neither of them could afford. But she didn't want to. 15 minutes are up, a nurse said, poking her head in. Mr. Morrison needs rest. Morrison. Right. His last name. She'd been calling him Jake for 3 months and never actually knew his full name. I'll come back, Emma promised, standing. Tomorrow. Or whenever they let me. Emma. Jake caught her hand again. Whatever happens next, witness protection, trials, all of it, we're doing it together. Okay. She wanted to argue, to tell him he didn't owe her anything, that he'd already done more than anyone had a right to ask. But looking into his eyes, she saw the truth. This wasn't about owing. This was about choosing. Okay, she whispered. Together. Emma was escorted back to the waiting room by 2 federal agents who treated her like blown glass. Detective Park was there, along with a woman in an expensive suit who screamed FBI. Mrs. Harris, the woman said, extending her hand. Special Agent Rebecca Martinez. I'm overseeing your protection detail. We need to talk about next steps. Where's my son? Safe. Still with Detective Park's wife. We're arranging secure transport to a safe house outside the city. Martinez gestured to a private conference room. This way, please. Inside, Emma found herself facing 3 federal agents, a prosecutor, and Marcus. Her ex-husband sat at the conference table looking like he'd aged 10 years. Marcus Harris was still handsome in that polished corporate way, expensive suit, perfect hair, the kind of face that smiled in shareholder meetings. But his eyes were haunted. Emma. He stood, started toward her, stopped. I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I never thought they'd go after you. After Tyler. But they did. Emma's voice was cold. Controlled. Because of your testimony. Because you decided to be a hero without thinking about the collateral damage. I know. But Emma, what they were doing, selling weapons to terrorist organizations, to dictatorships, I couldn't just look the other way. And I couldn't just die for your conscience. Emma's control snapped. Tyler almost got kidnapped today, Marcus. Men with guns broke into our house. My friend, his teacher, died on my living room floor. So don't you dare stand there and tell me about your moral obligations when your morals nearly got our son killed. Silence. Marcus looked like she'd slapped him. Agent Martinez cleared her throat. Mrs. Harris, Mr. Harris, we understand emotions are running high, but we need to focus on keeping you both safe until the trial concludes. How long? Emma asked. The trial starts in 6 weeks. Could last 2 months. During that time, you'll be in protective custody. New identities. Secure location. Minimal outside contact.
Go.
And after the trial?
Quick.
Depends on the verdict and threat assessment. Could be a few months. Could be permanent relocation. Emma felt the walls closing in. So my entire life is just over. My job. My home. Tyler's school. Everything. We're very sorry, Mrs. Harris, but what about Jake? Emma interrupted. Jacob Morrison. He's currently in ICU because he saved my life. What happens to him? Martinez exchanged glances with the other agents. Mr. Morrison is former FBI. He acted as a civilian, outside official capacity. We can offer him protective custody as a material witness, but he doesn't have to take it, Emma finished. He could just walk away. Technically, yes. Marcus was watching this exchange with growing confusion. Who's Jake Morrison? My personal trainer, Emma said, not taking her eyes off Martinez.
Emma.
Also the man who killed 4 armed professionals while bleeding out to protect me and Tyler. Also someone I care about. So whatever protection you're offering me, it extends to him.
Non negotiable.
Emma, Marcus said carefully, are you involved with this man? That's none of your business. It absolutely is my business if my son is going to be around some. Somewhat, Marcus. Some hero who risked his life while you were safely in federal custody. Emma rounded on him, months of suppressed anger finally breaking through. You don't get to question my choices. Not anymore. You gave up that right when you walked out on us 3 years ago. I didn't walk out. We got divorced. There's a difference. You walked out emotionally long before the papers were signed. You chose your career over your family. Over and over again. So don't you dare stand there and judge me for finding someone who actually shows up.
Just another day at the
The
office,
room
right?
fell silent again. Marcus looked gutted. Agent Martinez looked uncomfortable. The other agents were suddenly very interested in their files. Finally, Marcus spoke. You're right.
I'm sorry.
I have no right to. He took a breath. Is he good to Tyler? This Jake.
I know this looks bad.
Emma thought about Jake kneeling down to Tyler's level, talking seriously about dinosaurs in caves. About him scooping her up to prove his muscles to a 7-year-old. About him throwing himself between her son and armed men. Yes, she said simply. He's good to Tyler. He's good to us both. Marcus nodded slowly. Then I'm glad you have someone. I mean it, Emma. I know I screwed up our marriage. I know I've been a terrible ex-husband. But I never stopped wanting you to be happy. Emma's anger deflated slightly. I know. Marcus, this is all such a mess. I'll fix it. I swear. After I testify, after these bastards are in prison, I'll make sure you and Tyler are safe. That you can have your lives back. You can't promise that. I can try. It's the least I owe you. Agent Martinez cleared her throat again. Mrs. Harris, we need your decision. Protective custody starts tonight. Safe house in rural Virginia. You, Tyler, and any approved companions. Mr. Morrison qualifies if he agrees. But we need to move now. Emma looked at the agents, at Marcus, at the walls of this conference room that felt like they were closing in. Then she thought about Tyler's face when the men grabbed him. About Jake's eyes as he counted down before the fight. About Sarah's betrayal. About everything that had brought her to this impossible moment. I need to talk to Jake first, she said. Before I agree to anything, I need to talk to him. Mrs. Harris, time is. I don't care. Emma stood. You want me to disappear for 2 months? To append my entire life? Then I get to make one demand. I talk to Jake. In person. Tonight. Then I'll give you my answer. Martinez studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Fine. But it'll have to be brief, and monitored. I don't care about monitored. I just need to see him. They brought her back to Jake's ICU room at 10 p.m. He was awake, looking marginally better, the morphine drip reduced enough that his eyes were clearer. Emma. He tried to sit up straighter, winced. What's wrong? Tyler. Tyler's fine. Everything's fine.
Am I still your trainer?
She pulled the chair close to his bed, very aware of the federal agent standing outside the glass window. They're offering protective custody. Safe house in Virginia. For however long the trial lasts.
I know it seems
Okay,
chaotic right
that's
now,
good.
but I assure
You'll
you,
be safe.
things will calm down.
They said you could come.
I'm determined
As
to
part
make
of the
sure.
security detail. If you want. Emma took his hand. Jake, I know this is insane. We barely know each other. You've already been shot protecting us. You don't owe us anything more. Emma. Let me finish. She squeezed his hand. If you come with us, you're signing up for months of hiding. Of being cut off from your life. Of playing bodyguard to a woman you met through a webcam and her traumatized kid. I wouldn't blame you if you said no. If you decided this was too much. Jake was quiet for a moment. Then he said, do you remember our 4th session? When you completely broke down during cool-down stretches. Emma flushed. I was crying about the divorce. It was embarrassing. You apologized for being emotional. Said you knew I was just there to train you, not be your therapist. Jake's thumb stroked her hand. You know what I thought in that moment? That I was a disaster? That you were the bravest person I'd ever met. going through a divorce, raising a kid alone, still showing up at 6 a.m. to work on yourself, still trying, still fighting. His eyes held hers. Emma, I didn't fall for you because of some rescue fantasy. I fell for you because you're remarkable. And if you think I'm walking away from you now, when you need someone in your corner, then you haven't been paying attention. Emma's eyes burned. Jake, I'm coming to Virginia. I'm staying for however long it takes. And when this is over, when the trial's done and you're safe, I'm still going to be here, making you do burpees, listening to your rants, being whatever you need me to be. He pulled her hand to his lips, kissed her knuckles. This isn't too much. You could never be too much. Emma was crying now, ugly crying, all the fear and stress and emotion of the past 24 hours pouring out. Jake tried to pull her closer despite his injuries, and she carefully climbed half onto the bed, pressing her face into his shoulder, sobbing while he stroked her hair and murmured reassurances. We're going to be okay, he said softly. All three of us. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. The federal agent tapped on the window. Time was up. Emma pulled back, wiped her face, tried to compose herself. So we're doing this? Really doing this? Really doing this, Jake confirmed. You, me, and Tyler against the world. Or at least against some very angry arms dealers. Despite everything, Emma laughed. When you put it that way, it sounds almost romantic. Give me 6 weeks in a safe house with you, and I'll show you romantic. Jake grinned, then winced as the expression pulled his stitches. Ow. Note to self, no flirting while wounded. Idiot. But Emma was smiling as she leaned down to kiss him one more time. Soft, sweet, full of promise. Go get Tyler, Jake said when they parted. Pack whatever they'll let you take. I'll be cleared for transport in 48 hours. We'll meet you at the safe house. What if something happens in those 48 hours? Then I'll hunt down whoever's stupid enough to touch you and show them why the FBI recruited me in the first place. His voice was light, but his eyes were steel. Nobody hurts my family. Not anymore. My family. The words settled into Emma's chest, warm and terrifying and perfect. Okay, she whispered. 48 hours. Don't die before then. Wouldn't dream of it. 6 weeks later. The safe house in rural Virginia was actually a sprawling farmhouse on 50 acres of protected land. The kind of place that looked rustic and charming in movies, but in reality meant spotty Wi-Fi and an abundance of spiders. Tyler loved it. He spent his days exploring the woods with federal agents pretending to be farmhands, learning to identify birds, collecting interesting rocks, and generally having the adventure of his life. The trauma of the home invasion was still there. Nightmares some nights, clingy behavior, but the child psychologist assigned to their case said he was processing remarkably well. Kids were resilient, more resilient than adults. Emma had testified twice via video conference, preliminary hearings building the case against Apex Defense Solutions. Marcus had completed his testimony in person, surrounded by enough security to invade a small country. The trial was proceeding faster than expected. 2 more weeks, they'd been told. Maybe 3. Jake had recovered with the stubborn determination of someone who refused to be sidelined. He'd been cleared for light duty after 10 days, full duty after 4 weeks. Now he ran perimeter checks, coordinated with the security team, and still managed to wake Emma at 6 a.m. for workout sessions in the converted barn. Some things never changed. Emma was finishing a set of deadlifts, proper form this time, when Jake's hands settled on her hips, adjusting her stance. Better, he murmured, close enough that she could feel his breath on her neck. You're getting strong, Harris. I had a good trainer. Had? I'm right here. Emma straightened, turned in his arms. They were alone in the barn, the morning sun streaming through gaps in the wood, dust motes dancing in the light. Jake had healed well. The shoulder injury left a scar he wore like a badge, but his strength was back, his movements fluid. He was beautiful. And he was hers. Tyler asked me something yesterday, Emma said. playing with the collar of Jake's workout shirt.
Yeah? What's that?
He asked if you were going to be his new dad after all this is over.
Are you good to Tyler?
Jake went very still. What did you tell him? That I didn't know. That we'd have to see. That relationships are complicated. Emma looked up at him. But Jake, he wants you to be. He's already started calling you Coach Dad when he thinks I'm not listening. Coach Dad. Jake's lips twitched. Could be worse. Is it too fast? Too much pressure? We've known each other for 5 months, only been together, actually together, for 6 weeks. Most of that in a safe house under federal protection. This isn't exactly a normal relationship foundation. Emma. Jake cupped her face in both hands. Nothing about us has been normal. You hired me as a trainer. I was actually an FBI agent hunting your stalker. We met in person because I showed up at your door at 5 a.m. claiming someone was trying to kill you. Our first date was surviving a home invasion. Normal left the building a long time ago. That's not reassuring. No, but it's true. He kissed her forehead, then her nose, then her lips, soft and sweet. I love Tyler. I love you. And yeah, maybe it's fast. Maybe it's crazy. But I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Emma's heart was doing that complicated thing again. The thing that felt like hope and terror and joy all mixed together. I love you too, she whispered. So much it scares me. Good scared or bad scared? The kind of scared that means it matters. That means I could actually lose something important. You won't lose me, Emma. I'm not going anywhere. Tyler's voice shattered the moment. Coach Dad. Coach Dad. There's a deer. A real deer. Come see. They broke apart, laughing. Tyler burst into the barn, covered in mud and pure joy, dragging Jake toward the window to see the deer that was probably long gone by now. Emma watched them together, Jake listening with complete attention to Tyler's breathless description, Tyler's small hand in Jake's larger one, and felt something settle in her chest. This was what family looked like. Not perfect, not traditional, but real. 2 weeks later, the verdict came down on a Tuesday. Guilty on all counts. 15 executives facing prison sentences ranging from 20 to 40 years. Apex Defense Solutions was bankrupt, assets seized, operations shut down permanently. It was over. Agent Martinez delivered the news in person, along with the assessment that the threat level had dropped to negligible. You're free to go, she said. The protection detail ends tomorrow. You can return to your lives. Emma stood in the farmhouse living room, Tyler pressed against her side, Jake's hand on her shoulder, and realized she had absolutely no idea what return to your lives meant anymore. Her house was a crime scene, being repaired by insurance. Her job had given her emergency leave that was about to expire. Tyler's school was compromised. Sarah's betrayal meant they'd have to transfer him. Everything was broken. Everything needed rebuilding. What do we do? She asked Jake quietly after the agents left. He considered the question seriously. What do you want to do? I don't know. Start over somewhere new? Try to salvage what's left? Run away and live in a farmhouse forever? She laughed weakly. I have no idea, Jake. For the first time in my life, I have no plan. Then let's make one. Together. Jake knelt down to Tyler's level. Hey, buddy. You've been very brave through all of this. But I need to ask you something important. Okay. Tyler nodded solemnly. How would you feel if Coach Dad became actual dad? If I moved in with you and your mom? If we became a real family? Tyler's eyes went wide. Like forever? Like forever. And you'd come to my soccer games? Every single one. And help with homework. Even the math I'll definitely need YouTube to remember. And do muscle stuff when I need it? Jake grinned. Especially muscle stuff. Tyler looked at Emma. Mom, is this okay? Emma felt tears sliding down her face again. Happy tears this time. Hopeful tears. Yeah, baby. This is very okay. Tyler turned back to Jake. Then yes. I want you to be actual dad. He paused. But I still want to call you Coach Dad because it sounds cooler. Jake laughed, pulled Tyler into a hug, and looked up at Emma with everything written on his face. Love. Promise. Future. So, he said, shall we start planning our new life, Harris family? Emma joined them on the floor, wrapping her arms around both her boys, feeling the pieces of her shattered world clicking into something new. Something better. Yeah, she whispered. Let's start planning. 6 months later. The new house was smaller than the old one, in a different neighborhood, with better security and no traumatic memories. Emma had taken a new job, still software engineering, but with a company that valued work-life balance. Tyler had transferred to a new school where he was thriving, regaling classmates with heavily edited stories about his adventure. And Jake had officially moved in 3 months ago, bringing his weights, his protein powder, and a ring he'd been waiting for the right moment to present. That moment came on a Saturday morning. 6 Uhr morgens. During their regular workout session in the garage-turn gym. Emma was halfway through a set of squats when Jake got down on one knee beside her. She nearly dropped the barbell. Jake, what are you? I'm sweaty and gross and... Emma Harris, he interrupted. I met you through a webcam. Fell for you while counting your reps. Showed up at your door at 5 a.m. because I couldn't let anyone hurt you. Survived a shootout in your living room. Spent 6 weeks in protective custody watching you be the strongest person I've ever known. He pulled out a simple gold band with a small diamond. Nothing flashy. Perfect. I know this is unconventional. I know we're supposed to have candlelit dinners and romantic settings. But this is us, Emma. Early mornings and hard work and building something beautiful from the wreckage. So I'm asking you here, now, in your workout clothes with terrible bedhead, will you marry me? Emma started laughing and crying simultaneously.
Yes.
You're proposing during squats? Really? Would you prefer burpees? God, no. Then yes or no, Harris? You're killing my knees here. Emma grabbed his face and kissed him hard. Yes. Obviously yes. You idiot. Tyler's voice came from the doorway. Are you guys getting married? Can I be the ring bearer? Can we get a dog? They broke apart, laughing. Jake slipped the ring onto Emma's finger, a perfect fit, and stood to scoop Tyler into his arms. Yes to married. Yes to ring bearer. We'll discuss the dog. That's not a no. Tyler crowed triumphantly. Emma watched them together, her son and her fiancé, arguing playfully about dog breeds, and thought about that morning 6 months ago. The phone call at 5 a.m. The fear and chaos and violence. How the worst day of her life had somehow led to the best. Sometimes salvation came in unexpected forms. Sometimes it showed up at your door before dawn, claiming to be your personal trainer, armed with nothing but determination and a promise to keep you safe. Sometimes the man who taught you to be strong was the same man who taught you to be vulnerable. Sometimes love was built not in candlelit restaurants but in converted barns, in safe houses, in the quiet moments between crises when you realized the person beside you was worth every risk. Hey, Jake said softly, pulling her close with his free arm, Tyler still draped over his other shoulder. What are you thinking about? Emma smiled. That I need to leave you a better review on the trainer website. 5 stars. Saved my life, proposed during squats, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I'm getting you for false advertising. I never promised to save your life. No, you just did it anyway. Emma kissed him again. My hero. You're idiot, Jake corrected. But I'm your idiot. Forever, Emma agreed. Forever, Tyler echoed, then squirmed. Can we get pancakes now? All this mushy stuff made me hungry. They went inside together. Emma, Jake, and Tyler. Leaving the workout equipment behind, the morning sun streaming through windows that no longer held any ghosts. Just light. Just love. Just the beginning of everything they'd fought so hard to build. And somewhere in the quiet peace of that moment, Emma sent up a silent thank you to whatever cosmic force had sent Jake Morrison to her door at 5 a.m. on the worst and best morning of her life. Because sometimes the person who saves you is the person you're meant to save in return. Sometimes the trainer becomes the family. Sometimes the story that starts with terror ends with joy. And sometimes, when you answer the door at 5 a.m. to a stranger claiming to protect you, you're really opening the door to your entire future. If this story grabbed your heart and wouldn't let go, subscribe for more tales of unexpected love, unlikely heroes, and second chances. Drop a like if you're crying happy tears right now, and comment below with your favorite moment. Was it the proposal during squats? Tyler asking for a dog? That first kiss in the ICU? Let me know. And remember, sometimes the help you need comes in the most unexpected packages. Sometimes love finds you at 5 a.m. when you're least prepared. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is open the door. Thank you for reading Emma, Jake, and Tyler's story. May you all find your own personal trainer who's actually an FBI agent in disguise. Or, just someone who shows up when it matters most.